Get $50 instantly when you play $5. When you use the promo code presented by Prize Picks, welcome to Light Years. Ah, happy Festivus. Y'all have
Festivus,
problems
man.
with you.
Hey,
Y'all have problems with you people, and tonight you're all gonna fucking hear about it. What a miserable game.
just
Perfect.
perfect. Welcome back to the pod, Tommy.
Yeah,
My goodness,
exactly.
I felt so winnable, and they just could never either put it away or just put a good enough stretch of play together. Um, and it just, I don't know, that was a really tough one for whatever reason. They've had a lot of bad losses recently, but that one just felt like it just feels like one of those losses where you realize how stuck your team is. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I like the Schroder trade, and I'm sure we'll jump into that a little bit tonight. Like I do think it's helping in certain ways, but you're just like, I don't even know what the solution is at this point. Like, and I mean, I think we're going to talk about it pretty quickly here. You know, it's always going to be hard when Steph goes 2 for 13. So
I
I
mean,
think we can probably
chat's
just kind of start
chat's
there.
saying it right now. He does look old. He's just 2 of the last 3 games have just been bad. Yeah, he closed against Minnesota and had an excellent game there, but the no show in Memphis and what was tonight 2 for 13.
Yep.
It really wasn't that into the game to start. Tried to get it going at the end, didn't have it. You know, if you get a better Steph game, it's an easy win. And I don't know, man. It occurred to me it's not a lock that he'll be an all-star when it's at Chase Center, which is like a very, very depressing thought. Like, I don't even want to go there. They're gonna have him do like a 3-point contest with Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu while he's not an all-star. Like, that's like the saddest timeline I can think of. So
I don't see a world where he's not an all-star just because there's too much the fan vote will be too powerful with Steph. I think it's the same thing as like LeBron or KD. They're always going to be there if
mhm.
they're healthy. But I mean, it's definitely more of a realistic possibility than it's been in the past 12 years.
Mhm.
And yeah, he just looks disinterested, but also slower. And the roster doesn't do him any favors at all. Still don't have a
Yeah,
big man who can shoot a three. Like you still don't have one guy over 6'6" who can make threes consistently. I guess Wiggins is technically 6'7", but
sure.
they have not done anything to make his life easier. And it's clear that like, yeah, he's older. Like, but this wasn't gonna go on in perpetuity. And but part of me also thinks, is he like quiet quitting a little bit? You know, like
I
is he just like I don't want to kill myself unless there's like there's real stuff to play for here. I think it'd be hard to get motivated at his age and still want to do that after where he's been.
I mean, can we talk about the starts because
Yeah.
that's been a thing people have been talking about, and it's hard to not notice every game he starts in screen setter mode. You know, he's doing his Looney impression out there, getting other people's shots. I don't think he took a shot in the first quarter of this game. I know he only had 4 or so at halftime, so not particularly looking to shoot the ball, and it's not unique for tonight. It's been kind of a consistent theme. I do think it's partly what you're saying, which is he's just trying to pace his body. And when you look at this roster, uh, like one of the more effective ways he could rest while he plays is like set a screen for someone else and let them do the heavy lifting. At least I think that's the logic behind it. That's the way I'm seeing it.
Yep.
Because he's too old to go 2021 Steph, where he's like, fuck it, I'm going for 40 every night. Like, that's not a realistic formula, not in December, not this time of the season. So I think that's part of it. The other part of it is, yeah, sadly, like there are stretches where I'm like, man, he does look his age. He does
Yeah.
look his age. And I look at the rest of the roster and it's not really built to kind of hide that. Like, he doesn't have an Anthony Davis to play off of. He doesn't have a Paul George or like I don't know, just pick a
Lowry
co-star, whatever you.
Markkinen.
Sure, doesn't have that. And so he's being doubled and face guarded halftime, and it just looks ugly, man. It just looks ugly.
And I mean, I don't think I've really heard anybody mention this yet. He played for 2 months this summer with Team USA. Like
Mhm.
it should have been obvious to people. that he was probably going to hit a big lull at some point like this, and he does every season. So this isn't rare. This isn't new. It's not unique. December is usually his toughest month if you look historically over the course of his career, and maybe that's just happenstance, but maybe there is something to that with just the rhythm of the season and the way that he plays. And I mean, look, I don't know what the comments want me to say right now. People are saying, Steph needs help with 2 for 13, and I believe this is a classic comment. Yeah, maybe if he had another guy who could like create a shot reliably, you wouldn't see these type of 2 for 13 nights because there's another guy. He wouldn't have to do everything. But even what I will say is, even just having Schroder on the roster, Steph can afford to start like that a little bit more. They were actually still able to generate good offense in the first 8 minutes, I thought, or generally clean looks, where that wouldn't have been the case before Schroder was on this team. So that just shows you, even just a guy who's definitely a sub all-star player, but he has a particular skill set of being able to get paint chances, create shots, and generally just handle the ball without much of a worry. Even that helps a little bit offensively, but it's still not enough. And yeah, look, we could sit here and just rag on Steph for the next 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
What does that really what does that really accomplish? Look, we're not hard enough on Steph. Like, I'm just not going to go there, man. I just won't.
No, I mean, I think the thesis of the point is he is older. That's why he needs more help. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I'm watching him and I'm like, Steph in 2021 probably could have just broke this off and got 40 and probably done that a little more consistently. At 36, he can't do that as consistently. If, like I said, was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday against the Wolves, 30 some, took care of business when he needed to, but then he falls up with a game like this. And it's age, it's age, it's poor roster. It's a bunch of different factors. Like it's frustrating. I don't know what else to say on that front. Like we haven't even talked about the Draymond factor. He's clearly dealing with something.
Yep.
I think it's the ankle is the current thing right now. And that also takes away something that helps get the offense out of the mud, which is Draymond at the 5, which they haven't really been able to go to very much here. Like they went to it a little bit and it worked, but like that's kind of always the fix for, okay, we don't have a second star, but we can kind of hyper turbocharge this and generate some spacing and get Wiggins and Kuminga going downhill and kind of make up for it that way. They can't go to that as much. So it adds up, man.
Well, I mean, what you're really seeing is the results or the consequences, however you want to put it, of essentially 3 to 4 years of inaction. You know what I mean? Or like, not really, like you trade Poole for Chris Paul. Like you do kind of all
Poole, by the way, you see how he's playing right now?
Incredible. I mean, he looks like he's essentially on the trajectory that you would have thought coming off of 2022.
Yeah.
And look, you can say, those games are a little bit more meaningless. They're playing teams who probably aren't giving full effort. Like, sure, you can say all that stuff, but I mean, in general, I've always been a fan of Poole's game. And sometimes it's like, this become kind of a hyperbole is not the word. It's become like cliche to say, oh, the development's not linear, but it truly isn't. Like Poole was ascendant for a little bit and he kind of plateaued and even maybe regressed. And now it seems like he's kind of ascendant again, where, he's getting every opportunity in the world to handle a ball. But yeah, it'd be amazing to have him on this team, clearly, but you're just seeing kind of the results of like not really with this current roster. You're seeing the results of not really picking a lane for years and years and years. And now they're fighting a super, super uphill battle. Because the last time we probably saw Steph being MVP level for an extended period of time, probably talking 2 seasons ago at this point, the 2022-23 season to close that year out. So I don't know. I mean, he had a good stretch to start last season, but then it was really kind of up and down. And it's really tough to parse out now. It just is. They're at a crossroads for sure.
And the lack of any offense at the 4 or 5 position, like I'm still amazed they won a title with Draymond and Looney and Otto rotating. And I know Otto kind of fits what we want, which is a floor spacing big who can hold up defensively, right? Like that's kind of the dream if you're not going to get a star, get a guy who fits that type of archetype. But man, it's been like 3 seasons of this, and like Trace played well tonight, and he played well against Minnesota, but he's still just kind of a rim runner in general. And it's more glaring against a team like Indiana, who has multiple of those guys. Siakam, God knows how long we talked about how the Warriors should have traded for him, right? But Miles Turner, less of
Obi
an
to a certain
offensive.
degree.
Yeah, less of an offensive player than Siakam, but hey, he could still shoot the ball. Led the team in scoring tonight. He can absolutely function. Like these are the type of players that other teams have in the front court, and the Warriors are out there with like, oh, but he sets good screens. It's like, I think one of my takeaways from watching the Warrior teams is it's not just Steph getting older; it's they have less skill on the floor than every team they go against. Indiana had what? 4 or 5 guys who could make a play off the bounce, who could shoot the ball, who could do multiple things. The Warriors have no lineup combinations that can go to that. They just don't. Like Schroder, to your point, he helps because he's a guy who can actually do something off the dribble in some capacity, right? Like they're just, and this is where I am hard on Steve Kerr. If I'm going to be honest with you, I have less problems with his coaching and more like we know how influential he is in the front office. And there's a lot of, well, he won't fit my system. Oh, I don't want that guy. Oh, I don't like this type of guy. And that's where you end up with a bunch of role players. That's where you end up with a bunch of GP2 and loonies who, I like them. But like when you have too many of those guys on a roster, you end up with the inability to generate offense. And then you go to Steph, save us basketball. And going back to the regular point, he's 36.
Yeah.
He could be 37 this year. You can't surround him with 4 guys who can't do anything on a consistent basis and expect him to be able to do what he did in 2016.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, you look at kind of the end of that game, Andrew Nembhard, who's the Pacers' 4th option, 5th option. He's taking Andrew Wiggins to the rim and getting a layup. And it's not like, that's not like, oh, that's a lucky play. Like Nembhard does stuff like that all the time. But he's a guy, he's way down the list of guys in terms of people that Indiana would necessarily want shooting the ball in that situation. But he's still good enough and skilled enough to go make that play. And I think that's kind of your general point, is that every other roster in the league, or good roster, has that. Well, this Warriors roster, they just don't. And so everything on offense is harder for everybody, not just Steph. Everybody's life is made harder from this. And you just don't see teams constructed like this anymore. They're still, they helped revolutionize the league, but now they're kind of playing a more archaic form of basketball, even though they're trying to get up more threes most nights. It doesn't look
half the time. The reason they get threes up is because they can't get anything else up. A lot of it's like, oh, you're not going to get anything at the rim. You don't really have the ability to work another shot. So it's like, can we swing the ball a couple times and just get someone a little airspace and shoot a 3?
Totally. 100%.
That's it. So I don't know. Let's keep going. But before we do, guys, let us talk about Prize Picks real quick. Did you play anything in tonight's game, by the way?
I did not. Not tonight. I played some stuff over the weekend, but I didn't play anything tonight.
Guys, Prize Picks is the best place to get in the real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible for all. You just pick more or less on 2 players for a shot to win up to 100x your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. I also didn't play tonight, but I will be playing the Christmas Day game, the geriatric Super Bowl. We're gonna take what we can. I need one more classic Steph versus LeBron game. We're gonna have some fun there. We got to, So I don't know where I'm gonna go in that game. I will never go on the under on Steph, even though after games like tonight, maybe I should consider it here and there.
I feel like LeBron steals more on LeBron steals. I feel like that's always a good call against the Warriors because he's going to read a couple of their sets and he's going to get like 2 to 3 steals.
They have no front court scoring because he knows he can. He knows when the ball gets thrown into Looney in the post, he's looking to pass it to someone reload. Like they've only run the same play against him 500 times over the last decade. Right. So, guys, Prize Picks offers weekly promotions. So that's my tip for you. Take the over on LeBron steals. Weekly promotions that lead to big payouts. All right. Download the app today. Use the code LIGHTYEARS. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. That's simple. Code LIGHTYEARS. Get 50 instantly. Play your first $5. Prize Picks. Run your game.
All right, now let's do some game time. Game time is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on game time actually go down the closer it gets to tip off. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. So I was kind of looking at both. Obviously won't be in the Bay Area for Lakers Warriors, but there's some solid prices. I think you can get into the arena right now for around $250, which for a Warriors Lakers game is pretty damn good. But I'm also looking at Warriors Clippers because Warriors come down to the Intuit Dome. Um, I believe it's Friday, and
Yeah,
I
it's
have
Friday
not
night.
been. Yeah, I have not been to Intuit yet.
Oh,
So
fucking
I'm
so.
looking at. Yeah, I know you hated it. I know you hated it, but I got to go see it for myself, right? We got to compare notes on that. So right now, I can get in the building, and the lower bowl, it looks like, Friday near Christmas. So a lot of people in town, ticket prices are probably a little bit higher. I can get in the lower bowl for like $200. I can see the view from my seat on the app, which is one of the coolest things about the Game Time app. But even if I wanted to wait until the last minute to get the tickets, Game Time's last minute deals can save me up to 60% off for any time, like not just last minute for sports, but concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you want to go to. So download Game Time today, create an account, and use code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LIGHTYEARS, LIGHTYEARS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
The thing I thought we were going to start talking about today was Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga. I think everyone saw the comments on Saturday night's press conference. He came out with this before the game today. By the way, the struggle beard with Steve Kerr.
The low PPP on his mid range. What are you okay with? Like when can he take the mid range? Like what shot diet would you prefer from him?
Well, obviously he's great. He's elite at the rim. He's elite getting fouled. So we want him attacking the rim. We want him following the help, playing out of the dunker, and getting behind the play more often. And then, as I said, there's a time and place for every shot. And so if it's the middle of the shot clock, it's not a great shot. If it's end of the shot clock and we've been trying to get a better shot and nothing's there, he's one of the few guys who's capable of creating an open look for himself. So it's really it's a simple message, but it's not always a message that for any player that is easily seen or so we talk about it every day. Drive and kick, penetrate with the idea of moving the ball on. We've spent the last 3 days of practice with the whole team working on that concept: drive and kick, drive and kick, drive and kick. So it's different for every player in terms of what they see, what they recognize. But we're working with our guys. We're working with JK. I think he's got so much potential, and he's shown a lot since he's been here. He's gotten a lot better. But I'm not going to, stop coaching him. I got to keep coaching him. The last 2 games,
Thought that was strong. I have a few thoughts. I'm going to lead with this. One, whether you're a fan of Steve Kerr's coaching methods or he frustrates you, he never runs from the things he does. He's always pretty straightforward, pretty transparent about what he's looking for. And he's also transparent to the players, and he's not like hiding what he's looking for here. He wants Kuminga working for better shots. He wants more consistent effort, more consistent focus in general. And I will say, what I saw tonight? I saw a player who got the message, because that was probably JK's best game of the year, one of his better games of the year in terms of, not settling, getting to the rim, 4 offensive rebounds. That might be a career high for him in terms of offensive glass. I feel like he was really taking advantage of what he was getting there. And if you get this version of JK, tonight's loss sucks, but that's a consistent force that is a building block.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say probably the Houston game at home was another really good one. Houston, the first time. He's had some really good efforts, and I've tried to be as even-handed as I can with him. But because of the situation, I think I can show some frustration with JK from time to time. But I think in general, as an athlete, you want your coach to be transparent with you of what the expectations are, right? You don't want to not know what the expectations are. And like you said, say what you will about Steve, but he is typically very, very transparent with what he's expecting in the media. And then, but from what I've heard just about, behind closed doors, and like a thing that guys who always come through the locker room say is, hey, like, you might not like what Steve is going to say to you sometimes, but he's going to be honest with you about what he expects your role to be, what he expects from you each and every night on the floor. And that's really all you can ask. Now it's up to you you can agree with it or not as a player, but you know what the standard is and you know what the expectation is. So you know what's going to get you playing time and what won't. And the funny thing about Kuminga is he typically responds very, very well in situations like this. Like last year when he went to Shams, and he expressed doubt in Kerr as a coach. He had one of the best months of his career. But in general, when Steve calls him out in the media like this, he usually plays well. So he kind of just seems like the type of player that needs like that constant reminding. And a lot of young guys are like that. But that can be very frustrating for a coach. You know what I mean? To have to reiterate the same message over and over and over and over and over again.
It's funny because they said he was going to be the starter. They put him into the starting lineup. A lot of we need to see what he can do. And then he kind of proceeded to fall into bad habits after a game or so there. It was a lot of floating, a lot of like not rebounding and just kind of playing kind of below what he's capable of. Then he goes back to the bench, which just seemed weird to do after 2 weeks after saying that. And then Steve kind of airs him out in a pretty direct way in a post game. And now he's back to playing kind of up to the ability he's capable of. Like it's one thing if you want to be like, oh, he could be an all-star. So that's like, I don't know. We'll see where he lands in terms of 2 to 3 years down the line. But I do know he's capable of, giving you 20. What do you have tonight? 26, giving you 20, attacking the rim, getting 7, 8, 9 rebounds, really using his athleticism to put pressure on the rim. Like if he's focused, he can do those things. And then everything on top of it, like the 3-point shot, the ability to like run a pick and roll, stuff like that. Like that's cherry on top. Maybe it's not where you want it, but if he does the first 2 things, he's generally always going to have a positive impact on the game. Right. And I just don't know what you do with that, because it's like, I do think when I just look at how worn down Steph is and kind of how they haven't found a good combination, like they probably should be starting him, but it seems like they start him and then, the play goes in one direction and then they kind of, like Steve kind of blunt and calls him out a little bit. And then all of a sudden he's playing better off the bench. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know what people's expectations are sometimes with stuff, because they just expect, it seems like the expectation from not just Warriors fan base, but a lot of fan bases are like young guys just get carte blanche with mistakes. Like they just get to make any mistake they want. It's young. They're young. It's okay. They can, they have to like play through these things and learn, which there's a degree of truth to that. But you also can't just let bad habits slide again and again and again. And that's where Steve gets frustrated, where it's like, he's taking bad shots. He's not playing with effort and focus and physicality defensively. He's not rebounding. And if you do those smaller things, then, he's really never going to get yanked around the lineup, like he won't. But when that stuff waxes and wanes, and I thought in general, up until the last week or so, Kuminga's defensive effort has been better this year, but it's still not where it can be. And he still gets lost too much. So yeah, it's just, there's always going to be this, especially if you're in an environment where you're trying to win, there's always going to be a back and forth or stuff like this. Like, watch the Houston Rockets play. Jalen Green gets yanked around all the time because his efforts inconsistent. He doesn't defend. This happens with young guys all across the league. This is not a Warrior-centric problem. And that's where just, I think if you're just kind of focused on your team, you don't see that stuff happening around the rest of the league.
Yeah. No. I mean, even like the Pacers, like Mathurin,
sure.
He's had a pretty strong year. And if you look at his overall numbers, you'd be like, wow, he's really growing. If you watch night to night, he went through a stretch where he was putting up 20 a game, playing 30 plus minutes. Then he fell into kind of fouling and taking bad shots and just, more or less the same thing Kuminga's doing, for being honest. And then what's Rick Carlisle do? A lot of 18 minutes, getting benched in the fourth quarter for TJ McConnell, like that type of stuff, right? So, to your point, it happens all over. The magnifying glass is obviously on it because it's the Warriors. It's a 4-time champions. They've repeatedly told everyone they want to compete in Steph's last couple of years. We also know Steph, Steve, and Draymond are not at their, Kobe Bryant retirement tour, like we know we suck, so who cares stage. Like they want to compete. So it's even harder for a young guy because they're not willing to just throw games away for him to like learn it on a consistent basis. So I don't know, but like I do think I'm curious to see where this goes. Look, he's going to be a topic of trade rumors from now until the deadline or whenever. It's just reality. He doesn't have an extension and they haven't committed to him. They let us know how much they love him, but they don't commit to him, you know? So, and it's just going to be a conversation from now until the end of it. So more than anything, I'm curious if he can stack on top of this because that opens up options, you know, it opens up options in one way or another.
And that's been something that I've kind of been harping on, I think, the last couple of weeks when I've been on the podcast, is that like we see the flashes, they're there, but it's like the real leap happens when you can do it on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? And I think in the comments is kind of the perfect way to put it. We're at the point now where the kids aren't reliable because they're young and the vets aren't reliable because they're old. There's nobody on like in their prime on this team, you know? So like that's kind of the point this roster's at. And there's a couple more prime age guys this year, you know, Buddy, Wiggins, Looney still to a degree, but like no real like star in their prime. And that just makes it really tough to be a consistent team on a night to night basis.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, talk Dennis real quick.
Sure. Do that.
So third game, well, really second game plus a glorified scrimmage. He's started. It's the fit's a little. I mean, on the one hand, it's really nice having another ball handler and it's helping in the non-Steph minutes. On the other hand, I think he actually magnifies my biggest issue with this roster, which is just the front court. Like, please just get me someone who could do something offensively. Because he's a pick and roll player. Who the hell do you run pick and roll? Like, it's Trace. Trace is your best option right now, but it just magnifies what they don't have.
Yeah, it definitely does. But I do just, like I said earlier, it is nice that Steph can actually kind of coast into the game, whether that's intentional on Steph's part or not. He really didn't do much the first 8 minutes. He didn't do much all night, but he got more aggressive as the game went on, at least. But the fact that Dennis is out there, they generally created good shots in the first 8 minutes of the game. The issue wasn't outside of the turnovers, you know, but when they were not making stupid passes with the basketball, like they were generating good looks, they couldn't get stops early in the game. And that's why it was, you know, an 8-point game in the first quarter, but they still scored 31 points in the first without, I think, with Steph taking maybe one shot attempt. Right. So in that manner, he is helping, but yeah, you do need at least a pick and pop partner for him, because they kind of do have a pick and like dive partner for him with Trace, but you probably need a guy who can pick and pop a little bit too. Because if Dennis wants to run pick and roll, like Looney's not a great option. Only Steph can make that work. Draymond, okay option, but really only Steph can make that work. So you need to become a little bit more traditional if you have kind of a traditional pick and roll point guard.
Yeah, in general. And like, for what it's worth, you know, that's part of the reason they play Kuminga a little more. Like, he was going tonight, but like that is just front court more skill. I don't know. It's just, you watch the Pacers, like, look, we've talked about how, you know, Siakam and Miles Turner play. They're like top 5 Warrior trade machine targets of the last decade in general. So, you know, I don't need to go through it, but it's just like those things feel so much more magnified in a game like this, where it's just like, man, forget both of them. It'd be nice to have one of them. Either. I'll take either. I'm good either way, you know?
Yeah.
So, in the chat saying Cam Johnson, I think I'm coming around on Cam more, which isn't to say I never liked him, but I was he wasn't my number one want. And now I think he's moving towards the top of the list mostly because like the dude shoots the shit out of the ball.
Yeah.
Like,
truly.
He's not prime Clay, but he's better than the Clay they had the last few years. He's gonna give you that floor spacing you want. He's gonna literally make defenders scramble. It'd be nice. It'd be very nice to have a guy who can shoot like that, who's 6'8", 6'9", who can defend his position a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's really kind of like what peak Otto Porter was for the Wizards back in kind of the late 2010s, right? That's kind of the comparison I'd make just in terms of a play style. Higher volume from three, just because everybody takes more threes now. Otto would probably take 6 to 7 threes a game in the modern NBA, at least the peak version of Otto. But
sure,
I mean, he's kind of similar size, probably not quite as good as Otto was defensively, but like can shoot the ball really well, smart passer, really good within like functioning within a team system. And yeah, he just being, I know not a guy who's going to score 25 a game, but at least it's another guy who can give you 18 a game, you know, and if you can maybe just stack your roster with a bunch of 18-point per game scorers and Steph, maybe it's enough. Maybe it's not, but it's better than what they're doing right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean another thing that's noticeable is like, okay, Dennis Schroder was shooting 39% from three coming into the Warriors, but probably I mean, you watch him play, he can absolutely hit an open shot, but he's not a shooter. If you know what I mean, like he's not operating off of screens. It's a lot of guy goes under, he has a second to set his feet, get it up, he can hit the shot, you know. Honestly, kind of the same way Pods is shooting is. Pods is now 40% from three for the month of December, which, you know, Fitz has let us know repeatedly. But, you know, it's good to see a shot come back, but it's still the same shot you saw last year, which is if he has the ball in his hands and he has time, he can put it in, but he's not like getting him up at volume, right? And you keep going down the line on that. It'd be nice to have just a guy who can actually shoot the ball a little bit, because too many possessions are guys who the 3-point shot, they'll take it, but it's the last option for them.
Yeah. Fitz was in a full salesman mode tonight, wasn't he?
I mean, that's always ABC, buddy. Always be closing.
I mean, we got to commit. We got a Wiseman reference tonight because we were playing the Pacers. It was incredible. He was in
our friend James.
Yeah,
our friend James.
Such a good kid.
Guys, you ready to kickstart your fitness journey? Whether you're an athlete, a fitness enthusiast, or just getting back into shape, Body Spec has you covered. For less than the price of a haircut, you can turn DEXA Scan, the world's most accurate body composition scan. So what's a DEXA Scan? It's a highly accurate method for measuring various aspects of your body's composition, including body fat percentage, bone density, lean muscle mass, and visceral fat. Traditionally, this has been a very expensive procedure and kind of only ones that like pro athletes do, like Warriors do it, 49ers do it. Basically, every pro team does this, but not something that like you or me, the average Joe, can get. $200, $300, not every gym has it. With Body Spec, you can get it for only $45. So use the code LIGHTYEARS45 and get a DEXA scan for only $45. What's better is beyond having locations in San Francisco and Los Angeles, they have mobile vans that will come to you. So literally, they'll drive out to you for $45, scan you, kickstart your fitness journey.
All right, let's do some Manscaped. With the holidays creeping up faster than your aunt's fruitcake recipe, I've got something way better to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win that Best Groomed at Family Dinner award, check out the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your face, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using the code LIGHTYEARS for 20% off free shipping. So I was at I missed a couple podcasts over the weekend because I was visiting some friends for a birthday, and we went to a couple nice dinners and stuff. And I used the Chairman Pro to get touched up before doing that because it has not only one, but two interchangeable skin-safe blades. They keep you looking sharp and while minimizing razor burn and irritation, because nobody wants to show up to that holiday party looking like they lost a fight with a Christmas tree. And if you want even more precision, on the right side of the shaver there's a precision lock. When you lock it in, the blade head sits firm so you can achieve the most precise shave. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience the shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code LIGHTYEARS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code LIGHTYEARS at manscaped.com.
Oh, all right, buddy. It's Festivus.
Oh God.
And I could really air some grievances here, my man. Could really air some grievances. Start with you. I'll start with my number one grievance I want to get into right now, which is
Let's do it.
the front office, man. Make a fucking decision. I don't want any more leaks. I don't want any more leaks about how they're aggressive and they value Steph's prime. It increasingly just feels like what they did with Clay about how they want him back. I don't really believe you ever wanted him back, you know?
Right.
And maybe that was the right decision. Maybe it's not, but I don't believe any of it, you know? So it's just years upon. Like, how many games have you watched of this roster? I know they've tweaked it. I know they didn't have Dennis Schroder, last year.
200?
Yeah,
Literally.
250, 300.
Yeah, 200 might be conservative. I mean, it's been happening since they won the 2022 title. It's been more or less the same issues, the same roster. And like I said, now you're at a point where Steph probably isn't what he was 24 months ago. And that sucks to say. But he was like, that year after they won the title, he was phenomenal the entire year. Like, incredible. He had that shoulder injury, but like outside of that, he was still like a legitimate top 5 player in the league most nights. And now we always got into, you're wasting Steph's time. Like that was a wasted year. They got to the second round, and if they have another guy or two, you probably beat the Lakers, and then you're facing a Nuggets team in the conference finals who obviously very good. They go on to win the title, but at the end of the day, they hadn't been there yet. They hadn't won an NBA title yet. So if you have another piece or two, you're feeling a little bit better about things going into that, like you're going into the conference the semifinals, and then maybe the conference finals. So yeah, I mean, look, I think that's everybody's biggest complaint with it. I mean, at least most people is the front office. So yeah, I mean, I don't know do something.
My second one is make a fucking decision on Kuminga. I'd almost rather pay him $40 million a year and then be forced to play him 40 minutes a game as the star. Be done with it. I'm tired of this little limbo crap they've been doing forever. It's okay. To be clear, I'd prefer they not pay him $40 million a year. But you get what I'm saying. Like, just I guess I'm just saying the same thing I said a minute ago. Be decisive and make a decision. So, sorry, that's not a new angle at it. I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. I'm tired of this. It's stale. I don't know what else to say. It's just fucking stale to watch. Like, does anyone have fun watching this?
Doesn't feel like it. At least, I mean, it was fun to start the year because it was a little bit different, but that wore off pretty quickly. You started 12-3, and now you're 15-13. So that's 3-10 in the last 13 games. Is that right? That doesn't seem possible. Are they 3-10 in the last 13?
Correct.
Oh,
I know it feels like 2-11.
Like every other airing of grievance, like that I would have, like it's gonna pale in comparison to that. Like I'd love to play slow-mo more. I'm gonna say it all year. I know why he doesn't play. Like
I love slow-mo, but
look,
it's not changing my mood.
Yeah, but I guess that would be your reason for like trading for Cam Johnson, right? Because then you can play a guy like slow-mo a little bit more.
Sure.
Because you can play them next to each other. But yeah, I mean, I don't. God, an airing of a grievance. Can we make Steph 32 again? I want to grieve about that. Like that'd be really nice, but it's also not realistic. I feel like it's about as realistic as the front office doing something meaningful, turning Steph 4 years younger.
We're so close to this season's got away from us. No point in making a move now. Might as well wait till next season.
Yep. Might
as well do that. I don't know. I'm ready for just switch it up a little bit. That's like all I really want is some form of change at this juncture. Not asking for the moon. Just switch it up for me a little bit, guys.
I think this is actually an interesting question. Now that we've seen a sustained run of the team not being good, did Melton really make this big of a difference, or was this always going to kind of happen regardless of if Melton goes down or not? I obviously don't think they go 3-10 if Melton's still healthy over the last 13, but where do you sit on that? Were they always going to like really come back and be like a 500 team at the end of the day, even if Melton stays healthy?
I think they're better defensively with Melton, and they move the ball a little better with Melton. So I don't think that's a bad screenshot. I don't think they fall off as bad as this, but what were they? 12-3? 12-3? Yeah. So I don't think they're and that's got to be 65 win pace or 62 win pace or so. So yes, they were probably not a 60+ win team.
Yeah.
I think the more realistic thing is instead of going 3-10, maybe they go 6-7. And then maybe we're looking at a team who's 18-10 and still feeling pretty good. And maybe they normalize as a 48 win team. Team maybe 50 if they have some good health, 51 wins. Whereas without him, they just feel like last year's team. The year before's only a little worse because Steph's a little older, Draymond's a little older, and so 45 wins becomes 42 wins. I mean, they feel very decidedly average, right? In fact, average would be a step up for the last month, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at with it. What do you think?
No, I think I generally agree with that. Like I don't. They definitely weren't a 12-3 team. You know what I mean? Like they were never going to sustain that over 82 games. So,
Sure.
But yeah, they wouldn't have been this bad, I don't think. But I think what we are maybe overlooking a little bit, and I said it coming into the month, this was always going to be an incredibly tough stretch of basketball.
Mhm.
Like, instead of airing a grievance, you know what I want for Christmas is the Warriors to actually play some teams that aren't good at basketball, because that's all that's happened for the past month. Like, it's been one of the most ridiculous stretches, like schedule stretches I've seen in a long time. So I do think, and maybe this is kind of the point though, like if they play good teams, they don't look that good. If they play bad teams, they look really good, which has been the story of the last 2 years anyway. So I think they will start to stack some more wins in January, you would hope. But I don't think, without making some type of move, which is the ultimate, thing that everybody wants in some form or fashion, it won't really matter. It's all just window dressing, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back. Well, we got the geriatric Super Bowl on Christmas.
Can't wait.
Enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy those moments. I don't know how many more of them we're gonna get, and
Absolutely.
we'll move. Hopefully, Steph feels a little better.
Yep.
All right, later, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.